As a game developer myself, I totally understand where the Frost Giant team is coming from, leveraging their strengths as veterans of the RTS genre and trying to appeal to Starcraft players with gameplay, cinematics, graphics, modding, all of that. But I also see the big risk that they're taking because a game like Stormgate does not exactly appeal to newcomers, young players of the genre who maybe never played StarCraft back in the day. It appeals to old StarCraft fans. However, the SC2 community continues to be strong, with a very solid presence worldwide and especially in Asia, with a well-established esports scene and a full schedule of tournaments. So who exactly will be playing Stormgate? Stormgate is a sci-fi real-time strategy game where you control one of three factions trying to destroy the base and the army of your enemies, pretty much following the conventions established by the StarCraft franchise. After all, the developers behind Frost Giant Studios are veterans from the StarCraft and Warcraft teams themselves. And you can even see it in the name of the company, Frost Giant, Blizzard. But is that a good thing? Are we seeing in 2024 just another StarCraft copy-paste, as even the graphics and the color scheme reminds us of the old game? Or is Stormgate a new classic building upon the foundations of the genre? I want to cover a lot of interesting things in this video, like the design and business decisions behind the game, the early focus on esports and competitive play, the idea of allowing mods for the game early on, and a lot more. Hey guys, it's Harry. I've been a game designer and producer for the past 10 years, and in this channel I talk all about games and game production. So leave a like on the video, it helps me immensely growing the channel, and also subscribe. I try to offer the perspective of somebody who's actually working in the games industry. So if you enjoy the content, subscribe. I love real-time strategy. I play a lot of Age of Empires 4, an absolute fan of the game and the franchise, and I have also played Warcraft 3 and Starcraft 2 back in the day. Those are the true classics, of course. And we unfortunately don't get a lot of activity and new games in the RTS genre. Of course, Starcraft 2 is still a major thing, especially in Asia, but we don't see a lot of fresh blood in the market, and Stormgate tries to fill this gap. And you can see that the Frost Giant team has a lot of passion not only for the RTS genre itself, but for the Blizzard-style RTS. All of the elements are there, including the design of the characters, the investment in cinematics to develop the characters and the story, the fast and responsive gameplay style, everything. You can even see it in the company motto. Now it's our turn to carry forward the legacy of epic storytelling, innovative co-op gameplay, and celebrated esports that make RTS great. So in that sense, the company really knows what they want to do and be, and it's not an easy task. A company trying to do just the bare minimum could have focused on just having a single-player RTS, or just exploring the competitive side and definitely not investing in cinematics. But you can see that Frost Giant wants the whole package. They are leveraging the many years of experience that they have doing exactly that, which is a big deal in game development. Many teams who try to go for unexplored directions, making games that they have no expertise on, end up failing because each type of game is a completely different beast to make. It is not a trivial task to stop making RTS games and start making RPGs or racing games, for example. So using the many years of experience in the genre was a solid strategic decision for the team. Naturally, there are good and bads to this, right? After all, it does look like they're replicating a design and model that is 20 plus years old. While this might grab the attention of Blizzard and particularly StarCraft fans, it might easily alienate thousands of other players who did not play the original games back in the day. And you feel that the design and graphics are dated. And you can see it currently on Steam reviews, which are mixed for the game in early access. But this was definitely a conscious decision from the Frost Giant team. They know exactly who the early players are, and either they have a very good idea on how to expand the franchise later on, bringing new players to the mix, or they intend to keep very hardcore to their fans. But I do think they did a very good job at recreating the Blizzard RTS style with a much lower budget. Games cost incredibly much to make, and if you want to build a solid foundation for your game, you have to know where to focus your money and effort. In the case of Stormgate, it's clear that the focus goes mostly to the gameplay and esports potential. After all, that's one of the main reasons why StarCraft 2 is still such a big thing. with a huge community worldwide. By looking at what Frost Giant is doing with Stormgate and how they're doing it, you understand that a lot of the technical and design decisions they made were directly coming from their previous experience at Blizzard, working on Warcraft and Starcraft. A crucial part of Stormgate's development is the custom editor tools for Unreal Engine 5 that the team created, called Snowplay. Snowplay is a RTS-specific map editor where the team can more easily use the tools to create maps for the game. This is directly related to their mission to support modding at a very high level. We can see that they are betting not only on their esports potential, but also on the modding community to create custom experiences with the tools they provide and help the game expand over the years. Also, Stormgate had a very early closed beta tournament earlier this year with professional casting and pro players coming from Starcraft, Age of Empires, and other games. This strongly indicates a heavy investment they're doing to make sure they keep the competitive scene in mind while designing and balancing the game. Just like with StarCraft and many other games, the competitive scene is what keeps the game alive, gathering more players over the years and making the franchise and brand more relevant. Also, more and more games are making the decision to soft launch on early access, meaning the game is still in development, but it's already available for everyone who wants to get it. This has many interesting implications. As a developer myself, I strongly believe this is a correct decision overall, especially when we're talking about a live game, which will focus on multiplayer and competitive play. It is extremely risky for a developer to work too long on a game without getting real players' feedback. The more you wait to get massive feedback from players, the more expensive the changes you need to make will be. So by going early access, Frost Giant has a valuable opportunity to steer the game in the right direction, not only for what the players say they want, but also for what they show they want. And many times those are very different things. Players do not always know what they want for the game or how to fix an issue, but they always know that they do not like something, and the developers can use this data to make the necessary improvements. But of course, the other side of early access is that you give players your unfinished product for scrutiny. Many players and reviewers do not fully understand or accept the flaws they see in the game, even knowing it's in early access. After all, it looks like a game, it plays like a game, so why is it unfinished, unpolished, and buggy? People do not realize that game development does not happen at a steady pace. So let's say if a game takes 2 years to make, it's fair to assume that in 1 year time, you will have half of the game completed or well on its way, right? Absolutely not. The first half of the production is many times very slow, with the developers figuring out the basis of the design and also the technical challenges of a project. So it is very common to see that after beta is when the game actually takes a polished shape for launch, with things like fluid animations, voiceover, or other assets coming in very late in many productions. As a game developer myself, I totally understand where the Frost Giant team is coming from, leveraging their strengths as veterans of the RTS genre and trying to appeal to StarCraft players with gameplay, cinematics, graphics, modding, all of that. But I also see the big risk that they're taking because a game like Stormgate does not exactly appeal to newcomers, young players of the genre who maybe never played StarCraft back in the day. It appeals to old StarCraft fans. However, the SC2 community continues to be strong, with a very solid presence worldwide and especially in Asia, with a well-established esports scene and a full schedule of tournaments. So who exactly will be playing Stormgate? Are people saturated of the StarCraft formula? Because Stormgate is not exactly offering something new. Plus, there's the sunk cost perception from players because StarCraft has decades of balancing, polishing, and patches, while Stormgate is a fresh start full of risk. And veteran StarCraft players have already invested so much in the Blizzard games, and they might have a big resistance to switching games. Overall, I do look forward to see more updates for Stormgate, and I hope early access is a big success for the game. However, I do have my reservations, and taking into account the many reviews already out there, Frost Giant will definitely need some very smart decisions moving forward to really turn Stormgate into the success it deserves to be. If you watch my channel a lot, you know that I always repeat that game development is very hard. You may have a very talented team veteran developers creating exactly the game they know how to create. They have done this before, right? The game is already funded. Also, with a successful and millionaire Kickstarter campaign and a good deal of press. And yet, it is a very big challenge to make Stormgate a true success on the market. So you see how hard game development really is, even for veteran developers, even for bigger studios. So go there, leave your love to the Frost Giant team, who's definitely dedicating a lot to Stormgate to make it the best game possible, and I'll catch you guys next time.